reality of many of our children. It hurts me to see children, many of them African American or Latino, having to grow up or raise themselves in the midst of poverty, violence, drug and gangs, racism, without hope or opportunity, without a supporting parent or even their most basic needs being met, with no lifeline. How can children learn when they are not eating or sleeping properly, when they are scared or being abused or neglected, when they come to class sick or with a toothache or they can't see the board because they don't get medical treatment, when they are not nurtured and no one at home gives a damn about their homework or education. What happens when children are constantly barraged through the media and their own school administrators? I'm not going to be allowed to finish. It's the only opportunity we've ever had to talk to you. It's the first time in 2 years. What happens when children are constantly barraged through the media and their own school administrators with the message that they're attending failing schools and academic distress under state control because the schools have a grade of F? Loser kid from a loser city attending a loser school. That's the message, loud and clear. Lorain City has 4 school districts, a town of 60,000, 4 school districts, and 5 charter schools. How can you value yourself when everything around you says you're not worth nothing? Does that mean that these children can't learn or break this vicious cycle? Of course not. What it means is that comparing them in the schools that they attend to the wealthier, resource-heavy bedroom communities represents an intellectual lack of integrity. It means that demeaning these children and public shaming them and their schools is mean-spirited and will do nothing to uplift them. It means that the approach in House Bill 70 has not worked, and the only hope for a solution involves investing in helping these school districts with the issues that serve as barriers to learning. The takeover of local school districts and replacing dedicated teachers and administrators with outsiders who have no vested interest in our children, who look at our schools as a stepping stone to the next rung in their career ladder, will never work and will only generate hostility and a loss of faith in public education. Maybe a more compassionate, dignified, and holistic approach, as outlined in the state's strategic plan for education, could have served as a true catalyst for change, guaranteeing the pathway to success for our kids. Lorain is a proud city. We have endured the loss of our steel, auto, and shipbuilding manufacturing base. Economically, we have suffered for decades. But understand, we love our children. Despite the individual hard times, our citizens have always come to support their schools, passing each and every levy, including the one that resulted in building all new schools in the district. Instead of stripping our citizens of their local control by eliminating the input and authority of our elected officials and their access to information, by giving one person total power over the future and well-being of our teachers and staff, and most important, our children, even placing the future ownership of our schools that were built with the help of our beleaguered taxpayers in the hands of one individual with no accountability, just maybe there was a better way. And I'm going to say something here. I dare say that it's probably the closest that most of us will ever come to the feeling of being occupied by a more powerful force with no control over our own destiny. I don't say that lightly. I served as part of an occupying army in Vietnam. Maybe the state could have shown some understanding for the unique plight of our Lorain schools.
Chief?
Yes.
I hate to interrupt you, but it's really not fair to the other witnesses that we did limit to 5 minutes. I'd like to say what you have is very important for us to hear. We all do have copies of it, and I would encourage everyone else to finish reading it. I further want to say that that the hearing on this bill is not the end of this discussion at all. We will have a considerable amount of time of this committee is going to be taken up in the next month or so, looking at the Academic Distress Commission and with other legislation, and you will certainly be welcome to come back at that point and give additional testimony.
Okay, I was trying to just share the desperateness that we feel that you may not understand from sitting here in Columbus. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's been very painful for our community, and that was the point I was trying to get across.
I do understand that. So, like I said, we will give you additional opportunity to share more with us on this. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We will take questions, however.
I'm sorry.
So, Senator Terhart.
Thank you, Chairwoman. First, Chief, from a fellow Vietnam vet, welcome home.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your testimony.
Welcome home, too.
Second, I would like you to consider whether or not, since House Bill 70 is not a cliff one falls off of, you work your way to the point where you get to no return. Do you feel your local school board and the local administration of those schools did everything they possibly could to avoid falling under the terms of House Bill 70?
I think that we were poised just prior to the bill. I saw an enthusiasm through our community that has spread throughout our whole community. I think that people were in place that could have made that happen. I don't think they were there yet, but I think they were ready. In fact, the curriculum director for the schools actually now serves as the state executive director of continuous improvement. You know, and so there was people there who I think could have made it happen. I think that the constant change of the previous 20 years of like 6, 7 superintendents, I think that socioeconomic, you know, the things that come with poverty, the crime, the other issues. I think that the funding of our schools, because our schools, all the growth for the last 50 years has gone to our surrounding schools districts, have made it very difficult. But I think that I can tell you that there was a lot of enthusiasm, and I think they were ready to start moving in that direction. Yes.
Honorable Chair. If those things had happened 3 years before, would you have been taken over under House Bill 70?
Pardon me?
If the changes in the staff, the enthusiasm, the school board having a different view of what they needed to do, had it happened 3 years early, would House Bill 70 ever been invoked in Lorraine?
I don't think that they could. I mean, through the chair to Senator Terhart, I don't believe that those 2 years, 3 years, they could have resolved this. I really think this is going to take almost a generation to change. This city has been beleaguered for a long time. It's almost like the collective psyche of the city has been damaged. And, you know, I think we were just getting there. We're getting there with our businesses in downtown. We're getting there with our schools. I think all that pride had come back. And I just think that there was too many things working against them to, you know, but I think that they were very poised to move in that direction. I'm not an educator, but I can tell you that there was a lot of enthusiasm in the city that had not been there. And I think there was also recognition that the status quo could no longer suffice.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Senator Manning.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chief, for coming down today and for your testimony. I know you really struggled on trying to condense it, but I think we felt your emotion coming through with the testimony, and it's something that you've been living with for the last few years here. And I know you've been officer for 48 years. You've been in Lorraine, for a long time, and I've obviously talked to a lot of different people over that 48 years. I'm sure there's a lot of highs and lows of Lorraine School District and the morale of the city. How would you compare, right now, morale-wise, of the city to the previous 48 years that you've served as a police officer?
Through the chair to Senator Madden, the Lorraine schools used to be considered a very excellent school district. They were innovators, and people. I remember people coming to Lorraine all the time to study what Lorraine was doing. This is a school district. It's a small school district, but we have several winners of the Pulitzer Prize. We have a winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. We have astronauts. We have military generals. We have NFL players, all from this little small. I think it would be hard-pressed to find a school district of our size that can claim the